Hello everyone, in this game we're gonna analyze one of my classical games which played on liches.org, and the time control was 30 minutes plus 30 seconds each move, and I was white against my opponent, who is rated 1983. FKI 2009, and actually it was my last game of climbing the rating ladder 1900 to 2000 rating, because after this game I have reached my goal of the rating 2000. And actually my rating becomes 2004, and this game was the final game. So let's see how it went. I played d4 and my opponent knight f6 played c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4 and d6, and I played f3 and they castled, and bishop e3, preparing to play queen d2 and oppose there and try to maybe exchange the black square bishops. That was my plan. And after here my opponent played e5, I played d5, and they played c6. After c6 I played queen d2 and c takes d5 and c takes d5 and b6 my opponent played. Maybe they tried to exchange their light square bishop with mine, but I think I'm not sure it's a good plan of black or not. And after b6 I played rook c1 and bishop a6, and I just took. And after knight a6 I developed my last piece, knight e2, knight g to e2, and my opponent taking this nice post the c5. And here I had a plan, like if they play knight c5, and I just castled first, and here my opponent played knight f to d7. And in this moment I had a really nice move, b4, and since playing knight a6 is very passive, because maybe a3, my opponent played knight b7, and here I played knight b5, I mean, eyeing the square on c7, rook and knight coming to both seeing the c7 square, and if they ever tries to play rook c8, then I would just capture on a7. So that was not able, that was impossible to defend the c7 pawn, and my opponent tried a5, but I just played rook c7 since their b7 knight was hanging, and my opponent played rook b8, I guess. Yeah, and here I just played a3. If just making sure if they ever captures, I capture with my pawn, and so opposing their knight. Their knight cannot come into the game, and after a3 my opponent played very actually played very bad move. I think played a mistake. Rook e8, and here I had a tactical shot which starts with the rook takes b7, rook takes, and knight takes d6 here, which means they blundered the pawn, and they played rook a7, and I took on e8 and queen e8, and here I played rook c1, and after rook c1 they played bishop f8, but here I played d6, and my opponent played queen b8, attacking the d6 pawn second time, and I played rook c6, defending, and here my opponent just played rook b7, which was maybe yes, getting out of the bishop's diagonal, but maybe yeah, it was the best move. And I just pushed b5, and I was thinking if they ever comes to c5, I'll just capture, and they came to c5, knight c5 I mean, and bishop takes and b takes, and here I just played d7, yes, which was I think little bit rush, because after queen e8, and I mean queen d8, I had not that much. And my plan was, because if I don't push the d pawn immediately, they will play, I think, rook d8, like something, let's say something I played like queen here, I mean knight here, rook there, and I will lose my d pawn anyway. And here I thought that pushing d pawn will force them to play queen d8, and therefore I can play yeah, I could have played knight c3 right away, actually, yeah, but I chose this line, and after they took with the rook, and I played knight d5, which is very nice post for my knight, and here my opponent played the move rook d6. And if I just do nothing and maybe play a4, they'll just capture, and then after captures, this my c pawn will be very loose. So I did not this b pawn to move to this c file. So I did not disconnect my a and b pawns, I mean, and I took on d6, bishop takes on d6, and I played b6, which is disconnecting their queen from a5 pawn, queen from defending the a5 pawn, and my opponent could have played maybe a8, but here comes with knight c7. Of course, they cannot capture if I capture this, and queen d8 is coming, and so that's why they cannot play, but they played king g7, and here I just took the a5 pawn, and my opponent played c4. And yeah, I played a4, and here my opponent played queen c8, trying to play trying to push their pawn, and maybe one day queen here to queen check to force me to take, and this line maybe I'll play a5, I think, which will be fine also. Let's say I'll play something this, then check, then take, and push. Oh no, it's coming with check, so push. I have to take, right? Actually, I have to take, right? Otherwise, king here. King. And there. Oh, I shouldn't play. Yeah, I could have played this line. They could not exchange the queen, but I was so careful not to give any chance to my opponent, so I played here after queen c8 I played king h1, and here my opponent played c3, and I just captured on c3, and my opponent played queen a6, eyeing the f1 square, mate in 1, and I defended with queen a2, a1 I mean, both defending the a4 pawn and f1 square. And here my opponent played f6, defending their e pawn, and I played h3, an escape square for my king if ever check from the first rank, and h3, and bishop c5 they played, attacking the pawn, and I played a5 and bishop d4, and I played here knight c7, which I had, and here they played queen d3, yeah, and here I have this nice check, knight e6 check, and after king h6 I just took, and they took with the pawn, and I played a6, and queen c3 they played. Of course here I cannot take. If I take, this pawn is too fast. Yes, my pawns will be queening too, but I did not want this risk, so I just played queen b1 and d3 and b7 and d2 and queen, check, takes, queen, and here, and my opponent played queen a3 and a7 and maybe g5 and queen there, and queen d3 they played, and check here, and